Welcome, everyone. Was planning on doing this quite a bit earlier, but alas, you got distracted. But welcome, Kara. Welcome, Graham. How are y'all doing?
Very good. Always fun to be here, Ariel.
So I think I found a really good one that kind of covers at least the beginning of this.
The sages were convinced. Abraham, the sages were convinced, was a greater religious hero than Noah. We hear this in the famous dispute among the sages about the phrase that Noah was perfect in his generations, meaning relative to his generations. In his generations, some of our sages, quotes Rashi, interpreted this favorably. If he'd lived in a generation of righteous people, he would have been even more righteous. Others interpret it derogatorily. In comparison with the people of his generation, he was righteous. But had he lived in Abraham's generation, he would have been considered of no importance at all. Some thought that if Noah had lived in the time of Abraham, he would have been inspired by his example to yet greater heights. Others that he would have stayed the same and therefore been insignificant when compared with Abraham. But neither side doubted that Abraham was the greater religious figure. Similarly, the sages contrasted the phrase Et halakim hitalech Noach, Noah walked with God, with the fact that Abraham walked before God. Here's how Rashi puts it. Noah walked with God, but concerning Abraham, the scripture says, the Lord before whom I walked. Noah required God's support to uphold him, but Abraham strengthened himself and walked in his righteousness by himself. Yet what evidence do we have in the text itself that Abraham is greater than Noah? To be sure, Abraham argued with God in protest against the destructions of the cities of the plain, while Noah merely accepted God's verdict in the case of the flood. Yet the truth is that God invited Abraham's protest. Immediately beforehand, the text says, God said, shall I hide from Abraham that which I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on the earth will be blessed through him, for I have chosen him, so that he will instruct his children in his household afterwards to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Now, this is almost an explicit invitation by God to Abraham to challenge the verdict. God delivered no such summons to Noah, so Noah's failure to protest should not be held against him. If anything, the Torah seems to speak more highly of Noah than of Abraham. The text says, "V'noach motza chen b'nei Hashem." Noah found favor in God's eyes. Twice, the Torah describes Noah as a tzaddik, a righteous man. Noah ish tzaddik. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. And then again, we read, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and your family, because I have found you righteous in this generation."
How does this connect to
The
Sarah?
extraordinary fact is that no one else in the whole of Tanakh, the whole of the Hebrew Bible, is called
Oh,
tzaddik,
here.
is called righteous. How then was Abraham greater than Noah? One answer, and a profound one,
Oh,
lies in the way the two men responded to tragedy and grief. After the flood, we read this about Noah. Noah began to be a man of the soil, and he planted a vineyard. He drank some of the wine, making himself drunk, and uncovered himself in the tent. This is an extraordinary decline. The man of God becomes a man of the soil. The man who was looked on by his contemporaries to bring us comfort is now having to find comfort in wine and drunkenness. What has happened? The answer surely is that Noah was indeed a righteous man, but one who had seen his world destroyed. We get the impression of a man paralyzed with grief, seeking oblivion. Like Lot's wife, who turned back to look on the destruction, Noah finds he can't carry on. He is desolated, grief-stricken. His heart is broken. The weight of the past prevents him from turning toward the future.
the trauma.
Now think of Abraham at the beginning of this week's Parshah. He'd just been through the greatest trial of his life. He'd been asked by God to sacrifice the son he had waited for so many years. He was about to lose the most precious thing in his whole life. It's hard to imagine his state of mind as the trial unfolded. Then, just as he was about to lift the knife, the call came from heaven saying, "Stop." And the story seemed to have a happy ending after all. But there was a terrible twist in store. Just as Abraham was returning relieved, his son's life spared, he discovers that the trial had a victim after all. Immediately after it, at the beginning of this week's Parshah, we read of the death of Sarah. And the sages suggested that the two events were simultaneous. As Rashi explains, the account of Sarah's demise was juxtaposed to the binding of
Oh,
Isaac because, as a result of the news of the binding, that her son was prepared for slaughter and was almost slaughtered, her soul flew out of her and she died. We'd say today she had a heart attack from the news. Now try and put yourself in the situation of Abraham. He almost sacrificed his child, and now, as an indirect result of the trial itself, the news has killed his wife of many years, the woman who stayed with him through all his travels and travails, who twice saved his life, who in joy gave birth to Isaac in her old age. Had Abraham grieved for the rest of his days, we would surely have understood, just as we understand Noah's grief. Instead, we read the following. Listen carefully. And Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Avram came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Avram rose up from before his death. Abraham mourns and weeps and then rises up and does two things to secure the Jewish future, two acts whose effects we feel to this day. He buys the first plot in the land of Israel, a field in the cave of Machpelah, and then he secures a wife for his son Isaac so that there will be Jewish grandchildren, Jewish continuity. Noah grieves and is overwhelmed by his loss. Abraham grieves, knowing what he has lost, but then he rises up and builds the Jewish future. There is a limit to grief. This is what Abraham knows, and Noah does not. Abraham bestowed this singular gift on his descendants. The Jewish people suffered tragedies that would have devastated other nations beyond any hope of recovery. The destruction of the first temple and the Babylonian exile, the destruction of the second temple, and the end of Jewish sovereignty. The expulsions, massacres, forced conversions, and inquisitions of the Middle Ages, the pogroms of the 17th and 19th centuries, and finally the Shoah. Yet somehow the Jewish people mourned and wept, and then rose up and built the future. This is their unique strength, and it came from Abraham, as we see in this week's Parshah. Kierkegaard wrote a profound sentence in his journals. It requires moral courage to grieve. It requires religious courage to rejoice. Perhaps that's the difference between Noah the righteous and Abraham the man of faith. Noah grieved, but Abraham knew that there must eventually be an end to grief. We must turn from yesterday's loss to the call of a tomorrow we must help to be born. Shabbat Shalom. We must turn from yesterday's loss to the call of a tomorrow we must help to be born. Shabbat Shalom.
Wow. What do y'all think of that?
Interesting.
I like how
Go ahead, Cars.
I like that he brought up Kierkegaard. That was especially interesting. Man of
Also,
faith.
just the words at the end also, I feel like it really tied everything together perfectly.
Definitely that whole there's got to be a morning after sort of concept.
Yeah, if only there was a pill for that. I'm sorry. But no, in all seriousness, like I feel like for a lot of people, they can't get through it in the moment, and so it's like it's just they feel like everything's so dark, and I mean, and like actually, I can really relate to this because one of my family friends, he actually passed away on the 7th, literally like a day after after my birthday, and that I mean it sucked, but it's like when I first found out, I was really freaking out, honestly, because there was a lot that I still wished I would have had a chance to say to him, and I didn't. And so it's just kind of like, on one hand, you can grieve about that, you can freak out, but what's it going to do? It's like, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's important, especially, for me, because, I mean, I think his family knows this as well, but like, for me, because I didn't really get to know him as well as I wanted to. Like he lived a full life. Um he was in his 90s and he was surrounded by family, and he like he knew that it was coming. So it's like I think that in a lot of ways his death was as good of a death as anyone can get. But like it's still how do you turn that grief into celebration? I think it's so important. Not just because the dead, they're not there to be sad with you, so this sadness is just for the people who are still alive. But it's like, what do you do in order to remember them? Because if the death is too painful to remember their life, then you don't remember anything. It's like one of those things, like you have to work through the pain so that you can remember the good.
Makes sense.
You said on the 7th?
Yeah, so like 2 days
Like
ago.
2 days ago? Wow, that's very fresh. Jesus, how are you holding up?
Honestly, I mean, lots of the cannabis, but besides that, I don't know. I've kind of been trying not to think about it, and I think that's kind of like it goes into that idea that like it takes. What was it he said? It takes.
It requires Kierkegaard from Abraham, as we see in this week's Parshah. Kierkegaard wrote a profound sentence in his journals. It requires moral courage to grieve. It requires religious courage to rejoice. Perhaps that's the difference between Noah the righteous and Abraham the man of faith. Noah grieved, but Abraham knew that there must eventually be an end to grief. We must turn from yesterday's loss to the call of a tomorrow we must help to be born.
Yeah, the economist in me, jumps out at the much more pragmatic, practical point of every bit of time you spend grieving or regretting what you didn't do, you're probably also not doing something else you're going to regret in the future. So it becomes a never-ending stream. Kind of look at the, what you didn't do, all of that one, learn the lessons from it, but go out and do it right this time. Tag.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to find.
I remember that bit you showed about she led two lives. One of them was asleep, one of them was alive. But the life asleep was necessary for the life to continue.
Oh yeah. I'll pull it up in a bit.
No, sure. But what I wanted to say, it feels like the grief is also necessary to honor the life. It's a wise thing to understand that the end will come to it, but even that moment of grief is to experience it with the respect, kind of as if it's your time to sleep and to prepare for the life, to honor it in a way, you know. So I like that.
So for context,
Een andere mensen.
Mhm.
Zwemmen ze gewoon.
see if I can find.
Af.
Yes, I mean, like, grief is definitely a big part of it, but
Mhm.
let's see if I can. Yeah, never mind. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, generally you do have like a combination of grief and happiness at the same time. But anyway, let's get started. So,
Mm.
let's see. Oh, right. Where is it? Oh, shoot. What's that? Where is it? Let's see here. Baruch et Adonai Amvorach Baruch Adonai Amvorach L'olam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. ויהיו חיי שרה 100 שנה ו20 שנה ו7 שנים שני חיי שרה ותמת שרה בקריית ארבע היא חברון בארץ כנען ויבוא אברהם לספוד לשרה לבכותה ויקם אברהם מעל פני מתו וידבר אל בני חת לאמור גר ותושב אנוכי עמכם תנו לי אחוזת קבל עמכם וקברה מתי מלפני ויענו בני חת את אברהם לאמור לו שמענו אדוני נשיא אלוהים, אתה בתוכנו במדבר קברנו, קובר את מתך איש ממנו את קברו לו. יכלה ממך מקבור מתך. ויקם אברהם וישתחו לעם הארץ לפני חטא, וידבר איתם לאמור, אם יש את נפשכם לקבור את מתי, מלפני שמעוני, ולפגעו לי בעפרון בן צוחר. ויתן לי את מערת המכפלה, אשר לו, אשר בקצה שדה ובכסף, מלא יתננה לי בתוככם, לאחוזת כבד בעפרון יושב, בתוך בני חת ויען עפרון החיתי את אברהם באוזני בני חת, לכל באש שרירו לאמור. So the life of Sarah was 100 years and 20 years and 7 years. Chayei Sarah, the two lives of Sarah, or what was it? Yeah, these were the years of Sarah, but it could also be the two like Shnei Chayei, the years of the life of Sarah, but it can also be the two lives of Sarah. And so that ties in with what you were saying, because we watched a video before we started. So let's watch. I was going to ask you your thoughts, but if we're going to watch anyway, it's kind of pointless to ask thoughts, because we'll ask thoughts later.
Just wanted to say it was beautiful.
Yeah, actually, just in case it covers more, let's just read it. Okay, so and Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, which is like Kiryat Arba is Hebron and saying in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to Lisfod Sapad. No. Yeah, to wail, lament, mourn, to lament for Sarah, and to weep. It's interesting how this, like, you see how it's like normal size, small, big, or well, I don't know. It almost looks like or like I don't know. It's like like I don't know. It's hard to explain. It looks like I don't know. It's hard to explain. But and then Abraham rose from upon his face, from beside the face of his dead being Sarah, and he spoke to the sons of Het, the Hittites, Lemor, to say. It's funny because before they before archaeologists discovered, like archaeological records for the Hittites, for Hattusa, like the whole civilization, that they didn't even know that Hittites were for sure like a people. They only knew from the Bible. So it's like it's one of those things where there's a lot of historical value to the Bible, but like you can't take it literally and expect to find history. That's the mistake to make. But again, that doesn't mean there's not truth to these stories. It's just if you're expecting to find them and like, okay, I can use this as a treasure map, you're going to be sorely mistaken, my friend. Gerva Toshav, Gerva Toshav Anochi. I am a stranger. Like I'm an alien. Like basically, I'm a foreigner, and I dwell imachem with you. Give me and it could also be like sell me, give me achuzat kever, a plot, a burial plot, imachem, amongst you, and I will bury my dead, milfanai, milfanai, before me. And the sons of Het, the Hittites, responded to him, to Abraham, to say to him, or saying to him, listen to us, my lord, Adonai, like how do you say, like, boss, basically, but no, literally, my lord. You have been lifted up by Elohim, like in our midst, and bim mikvar, wait, be mivchar, huh? Oh, you are like, you've been lifted up as choice amongst us. Kavrenu, Barry, like, was this Kivarenu, Kover, like, barrier in Kavrenu. This doesn't make sense because, wait, cover. Yeah, because this almost seems like it's saying we will bury. Whoa, okay, this is interesting. So this doesn't render it properly. Here, well, it's implying bury as in just like let be buried, but literally, we will certainly bury your dead. Wait, what? Oh, okay. So we will certainly bury your dead. One from us. Your that we will. It's saying none of us will withhold this burial place from you for burying the dead, but it's not a good translation. Kivro. Okay. A man from among us, or one. Oh, no one from among us will allow or will be able to Yachal. Oh, none of us will withhold. Withhold. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Anything that you guys make of this, that it almost seems like they're implying, and this is something that I feel like a lot of translations or a lot of traditions miss. It almost seems like they're saying, okay, you want a place to bury him, we'll bury her for you. It's not saying here we'll give you this place for free. They're saying we'll bury her here if you want. I might be wrong.
You're past my ability to interpret Hebrew there, Ariel.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm telling you very clearly, here it's saying kavrenu, which means we will bury. So here it just says bury your dead in the choicest of our places, which implies that he's the one who's going to bury her, almost like again, doesn't imply that he owns the place, but like there's this idea that they wanted to give him the cave for free, but really what this is implying is that they are the ones who are going to be responsible for the burying, not Abraham.
Yeah, no, I think you're onto something, and that would make this whole arguing of here, you can have it. No, let me pay. No, have it for free and the field too. No, let me pay. It makes a little more sense under your context tag.
Yeah. So, and so Abraham got up and he bowed down to, or bowed before the La'am Haaretz. Ho, wow. Livnechet to the. Okay, this is really interesting. La'am Haaretz. You know what this term is?
Nope.
Let's see. This is interesting. I did not expect to find this here. So, Haaretz is actually another word for pagan.
Interesting.
Let's see if I can find. Let's see. Here.
So the land belonged to the pagans.
So I mean, more general. So you have to look back at what it originally means. Basically, pagan just means rural. It's like the rural people, the people of the land. But the people of the land are also the ones who are most connected to the pagan traditions.
I think it's people of the land kind of framing.
Let's see.
So just a quick look under the cover here of what's happening on this podcast or video podcast, whatever you call it. I don't really know. Is I'm coming along later on. Normally I don't tell you how the production.
Nah, it's not it.
It's like comic relief.
Very important to know this because this Muso Shmusik, because it's a fundamental understanding of who is the diaspora Shiva student. If you are a diaspora Shiva student, חשוב גם לך לשמוע. Very חשוב לך. Today's daf. I know today, yesterday, I don't want to give a whole. חשוב מאוד. It's in daf mem zayin amud beis. He doesn't know how to read Kiyash. One is that he doesn't read. Amoritz. With Amoritz. Not together. I'm not allowed to sit together and praise God with Amoritz. You know what Amoritz? Ignorant person. Amoritz. The Mishnah says, my Amoritz. What is Amoritz? Reference to this either. So the Gemara brings.
This is a easier way of explaining it. Basically, yeah. Biblical Hebrew, collective noun, but it currently occurs as Amei Haaretz. Late biblical, okay, where is it? Peoples of the land where is it? Tanakh refers to a social group or caste within the kingdom of Judah. By contrast, the plural Amehaaretz refers to foreigners, either nations. Okay, where is it? Rabbinic Judaism. Let's see. Could have sworn. Let's see. Amhaaretz. Maybe I'm just thinking of the modern context.
What if you will check etymology of that word? Like, how did it come about? You might come to something, because in etymology, just like, I like etymologies.
Oh, this might have been what I was thinking of. Oh, wait. Was it here? No. Let's see. Yeah, I think it might be. Let's see. Is it? Shit. Let's see. Right here.
All right, everybody, we're talking about Amen.
Oh, God. People of the land, to refer to those who were willfully ignorant of Jewish law. What is the exact definition of an So, I mean, technically speaking, in order to be, like, I know enough to know that in order to be an Amhaaretz, you technically have to know every piece of Torah and willfully go against it, which basically is only really possible if you lived during the times of the temple, in which case it's like basically equivalent to, you know, the law, which, I mean, even most people don't know every law today. But the point is that, like, I mean, even though it's like not by the letter, I mean, in spirit, I might be considered one, but like honestly, I don't really think it's a bad thing. But anyway, that's a total tangent. So he bowed before. I mean, literally, why would Abraham bow before the Amhaaretz if they're bad? It's implying that, let's see, landowning citizens. But that's
Ariel, I found the etymology of that word.
Which one?
So Amhaaretz.
Yeah.
So etymology of that word, the term is Talmudic in origin. It is literally people of the land, and originally could mean the people of Israel. However, its usual meaning in the Talmud and thereafter comes from the notion of people who work the land, so workers, or peasants. From there, it became ignoramus, uneducated, boorish. So in etymology, they did not say pagan in no place. It's like peasants,
no,
basically.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what pagan originally meant. Like for instance,
Okay.
like pagus means hill. It refers to hill country. So basically, it's equivalent to saying hillbilly.
So would that be related to the Greek word chthonic and that idea?
Oh.
Wait, which word?
Chthonic, being of the earth.
Yeah, kind of. When people were referred to chthonic in that context, yeah, but
because I know that usually refers to
Elhaaretz.
pre-existing people, you know, that were there before, like the new people came in, you know, and such. But
so let's see. Oh wait, I found something here, but I forgot where it was. Here it says he bowed to the notables present, seeing they represented the whole population. So here it's like Lebnei Chet Le Amhaaretz are interpreting the Amhaaretz to be like the people from the nation. So it's like the notable. I don't know. It's interesting, but and he said to them, saying, if your souls, or if your souls, if it is in your souls to bury my dead from before me, Shmueni, you must listen to me and intercede for me in Ephron, or with Ephron, the son of Sohar. So here, Abraham's even saying, if you are going to bury her. That's fascinating. Let's see. He said, if it be your desire, let's see, members of, all right, let's see, that's a prince of God. Oh, that was a prince of God, not lifted up by God. Oh, interesting, but I guess it could be either one. Your pleasure, goodwill. Oh, wait. If it be your mind to bury my dead from before me, the intent thereof, I will not bury my dead in another burial ground. However, if it is your desire that I bury my dead and treat for me to Ephron, who has a cave at the end of his field, which is not Eustace's. Whoa. Who's before me has obligation, must hurry to bury her. Let's see, and treat me. Everyone's rich and just. So why would he need to go to Ephron if he's? This doesn't make sense to me. Very tenderly. He's saying, let him give to me, or let him sell me the Ma'arat, the cave of Machpelah, which means kapal, the double cave, maybe. Maybe the implication is that it was like a double cave, one for him and one for her. I don't know. That is his, or that he owns, and that which is at the end of his field, in silver, full, at full. I will give him full silver. For a burial site for me in your midst. And Ephron dwelled in the midst, or he was present there, of the sons of Chet, and Ephron answered. Ephron the Hittite answered. The Hittite answered Abraham, in the hearing, was it like, yeah, in the hearing, or in the in the hearing of the Hittites and all that came into the gate of his city's gates, the gate of his city, I mean, saying, okay, right, we're going to watch that, and also give me a tiny break. So, any thoughts before we start with this?
No, this definitely reinforces that you're onto something with the idea that he definitely wanted the ownership of it, and rather than just letting them handle the burial. Tag.
Oh, let's see, private chat. What's in here? Okay.
I was thinking that the idea that it's a double cave refers to the size of it, and if size of it, so it's big, or like it could have two people in at least buried, and if he is not an owner of it, this means they could bury somebody else in there. The reason why he wanted to buy it, because he wanted to be buried with her, and that's the word double would imply that the cave was big for two people, and he might have suspected that it might be used to bury somebody else beside her instead of him. So just a thought.
Interesting.
It's the
Also-
ownership.
Also, it almost seems like they might have wanted her there because if she was like some great prophetess, even greater than Abraham, then like maybe it was also like about the prestige as well.
Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah, beginning in Genesis chapter 23. Our portion begins. This week's Torah portion is Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah, beginning in Genesis chapter 23. Our portion begins with the death of the matriarch Sarah. Sarah was a greater prophet than Abraham, and it was only together with Sarah that Abraham was able to change the world. The portion details Abraham's purchase of the field of Machpelah in Hebron for her burial. For a long time now, Abraham had been aware of the holiness of this place and the cave located here, which was the burial place of Adam and Eve, and which he knew through prophetic experience was the very entrance to Gan Eden, to the Garden of Eden, and the key to his children inheriting the land as God had promised him. Thus, he made sure to acquire it as a burial place for all time, and it's here that Abraham himself will be buried, as well as Yitzchak and Rivka, and Yaakov and Leah. This is a
Do you hear that? The gateway or the entrance to the Garden of Eden. Graham, any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Or yeah, Charan?
Well, you enter the Garden of Eden after you die, but also the literal gateway is interesting. That I found interesting, but it's the holy place through his prophetic experiences that he bought it. But again, so he bought the land to ensure that he and his generation would be buried there. That's the kind of the implication, I guess.
It almost seems like an allusion to these underworld myths. You know, like entrance to the underworld.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is I've never heard this tradition about, the cave being in the entrance to the Garden of Eden, and caves are usually entrances to the underworld. And that's sort of what Kara was saying is, when you die, you enter the Garden of Eden, and the Garden of Eden, therefore, would be the underworld. And again, interesting take. I wasn't aware of the tradition before now. Take.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I wish I could find more about that.
Torah portion of transition, of passages, of passing the legacy from one generation to the next. After Abraham had purchased the field of Machpelah in Hebron and buried Sarah, his priority is to find a righteous wife for his son Yitzchak. Just as Abraham was united with Sarah on the deepest soul level, now the search must begin for Yitzchak's true soulmate, who will join together with him in carrying on with the way of kindness and knowledge of God. As Abraham prepares to send his trusty servant Eliezer on this mission, which we learn is immediately blessed with divine success, verse 1 of chapter 24 informs us, now Abraham, which we learn the way of kindness and knowledge of God. As Abraham prepares to send, who will join together with him in carrying on with the way of kindness and knowledge of God. As Abraham prepares to send his trusty servant Eliezer on this mission, which we learn is immediately blessed with divine success, verse 1 of chapter 24 informs us, now Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Hashem had blessed Abraham with everything. There is inherent in Abraham's quintessence something that Torah is here describing as old age, that connects him personally with the universal concept of the coming of old age, but in a special way, a way that expresses the essence of the secret of old age. Midrash focuses on this verse and states that Abraham is the first person to whom Torah ascribes old age. The enigmatic teaching goes on to inform us that until Abraham, there was no such thing as visible aging. He's the first person who experienced it. Abraham prayed to God and asked that a recognizable differentiation be made between youth and old age. The language of the Midrash is as follows, but
I don't think this was it.
Together.
It must have been the other one. But luckily the other one was really short, so I can find that real quick.
The other one did not mention the old age and visual old age. It's interesting.
Right, I found it.
Now's the time to train for an in-demand career you're passionate about. How can anyone have two lives on earth? Parshat Chayei Sarah commences as follows. Vayiyu Chayei Sarah. And the life of Sarah
This is also really cool. Actually, this is chief rabbi of, I think, Scotland, Rabbi Ephron Mervis, and one of my professors at ASU. Well, I don't have him now, but I've had so many classes with him. Is
and you totally did not subscribe. No, you should totally sub. Yeah, shut up, professor.
But yeah, so yeah, just a really great family. I mean, I've only met Professor Mervis, but I haven't met Rabbi Mervis, though. He seems like he'd be pretty cool.
Shana, the Sheva Shanim, 100 years and 20 years and 7 years. That means a total of 127. Shnei Chayei Sarah, the years of the life of Sarah. And the life of Sarah was Mea Shana, the Shrim Shana, the Sheva Shanim, 100 years and 20 years and 7 years. That means a total of 127. Shnei Chayei Sarah, the years of the life of Sarah. These last three words seem to be totally redundant. Are they not included in everything that precedes them? In his wonderful Sefer, Toresh Lifrakim, by Rav Mordechai Rubenstein, which is a commentary on Pirkei Avot, in his introduction, he explains that the word Shnei can mean two things. It can mean the years of, and it can also mean two. And therefore, Shnei Chayei Sarah does not only mean the years of the life of Sarah, it could mean Shnei Chayei Sarah. Sarah had two lives, and therefore these words are not redundant. Rav Rubenstein explains. For the vast majority of people on earth, we're actually only active and properly alive for 2/3 of our lives. And that's because we're asleep for the other third. With regard to Sarah, however, when she went to sleep, when she had a rest, it wasn't because she loved to take it easy and was looking forward to having that shlof. Rather, every moment of rest was an investment in the next day when she would be able to be active and alert to perform as much chesed as possible, because Sarah spent her life performing kindnesses for others. Sarah lived two separate lives, the time when she was awake and also the time when she was asleep, because that was not wasted time. That was a period of her life within which she energized herself and prepared herself to do great things. All of Sarah's 127 years were used for good causes, were used constructively. Even when she was asleep, she was using every precious moment for a good purpose. And from her, we can learn how critically important it is to utilize every precious moment we have got. And even when we rest, let's use that as an investment in all the future productive activities that we will achieve. Shabbat Shalom.
So, what do y'all think of that?
No, I agree that sleep is is part of what you need in order to function during the day, and it's an interesting take.
Speaking of, I still haven't. I'm going to after we finish this up. Which luckily this is only a 20 verse chapter, or well, portion. So not a whole lot. Let's see here. This should be good.
Eliezer, Abraham's servant, is off finding a wife for Isaac, and he comes tromping out of the desert to this well in Aram Naharaim. Picture an oasis with camels and tinkling bells and a well. The well was the singles bar of the time. A lot of famous Jewish guys met their wives down at the well, so that's where Eliezer went to find a nice girl. Anyway, he makes this condition in his head. He's thinking, whichever girl gives water to me and to my caravan, that's the girl for Isaac. We all do that, except in this case, it worked. Rebecca runs up and she starts slapping water to his caravan. And we're not talking 1 camel here, we're talking 10 camels. And 10 camels drink a lot. 10 thirsty camels could pretty much drain the whole darn well. So a lot. And we're not talking 1 camel here, we're talking 10 camels. She starts slapping water to his caravan. And we're not talking 1 camel here, we're talking 10 camels.
Wait, are these
And
10
10 camels
camels
drink a
real?
lot. 10 thirsty camels could pretty much drain the whole darn well. So Rebecca isn't spindly. Nah, she's strong. She looks more like your local auto mechanic. And here's the thing. One commentary says that at the time she was 3 years old. How old was Isaac? Well, he was 40.
That's
Nowadays, that kind of
uncomfortable.
thing will get you jail time. Serious cradle snatching. The Torah says that we are born like wild asses, and that means that we are born basically selfish and stubborn and need a lot of training to remember to get Auntie Mildred a birthday present, or to take out the garbage without a lot of hints. Think about a little baby. Ah, cute! But actually all they do is cry and sleep and eat and make dirty diapers. You need to do everything for them, and they get pretty snippy if you don't do it right away. They don't do much for anyone else besides occasionally throwing up on your shoulder.
Sounds like a
For
drunk
most of us,
person.
learning how to be kind takes at least 15, 20 years, and for some of us it takes even longer than that. Most small children barely notice other people's feelings. If another little kid swipes your jug of water when you're 3, you might be inclined to bop him one. Let's get back to Eliezer. Eliezer's main condition was not that the girl be pretty or rich. His main consideration was that she should be kind. When Eliezer saw Rebecca bringing jug after jug of water to his camels, he was amazed. Not only was she kind, but she was just a little kid. If she was this kind when she was 3, when she was just learning how to notice other people, imagine how kind she'd be when she was 15. To become truly kind, we need to take a breath and look around and realize there are other people in the world, people who could use our help. We may not be able to be like a Rebecca, bringing water for 10 camels with a loving heart at the age of 3, because that was her first reaction, kindness. It was fundamental to her being. Not many of us could claim that. We might be more like a Yankel Schmendrick, bringing pizza to our buddies because we want a slice or a pat on the back. But if every time you do a little more than is expected, then you'll be well on the way to becoming a Rebecca.
I'm sorry, are we just going to gloss over the fact that a tradition, I mean, like, I think it comes down to they calculated it and it came out that way. So they're like, well, this is what it says. Now we have to explain it. But yeah.
I was going to say, which is the uncomfortable part? Is it that, Isaac is hooking up with somebody who looks like an auto mechanic, or that Eliezer is going around scoping out 3 years old, trying to think about how hot they'll be at 15?
Wait, what was the
At
first
3-year-old, everybody is kind. I think like little girls are massively kind. Like I had to learn not to be kind, for example. Like my kindness is like, if you will watch a little girl, she will run up to a bear to give him a hug. It's like, oh, bear is angry, and she just like rushes at the no self-preservation whatsoever. Like I went to a raging Rottweiler because I thought he was upset. I thought it was upset when I was a child. People had to save me. Oh my god.
No, yeah. I was calling out that early on there they said that Rebecca was built like an auto mechanic hauling the water.
Yeah, I feel like the second thing's more disturbing. It's like, imagine he brings Rebecca to Isaac. Isaac's like, dude, what on earth? Like, and then and he's like, yeah, but Abraham said find a wife for me, and then it's like, well, but I honestly, this is just a very uncomfortable situation. But luckily, that's only one of the calculations. The other calculation is 14. or like 13 or 14, I forgot. But let's see.
I don't know. Ancient times, I guess.
Yeah, but still, it's like I get that it was ancient times, but like, come on. I don't know. Lo Adoni Shmaeni Hasade Natati Lach Vehamme'ara Asher Bo Lecha Natatia Le'ene Bnei Ami Natataya Lach Kovor Metecha Vaishtachu Avraham Lipnei Am Haaretz Vaidaber El Ephron Be'azanei Am Haaretz Laumerach Imatalu Shemaini נתתי כסף השדה קח ממני ואקרא את מתי שמע ויען עפרון את אברהם לאמור לא אדוני שמעני הארץ ארץ ערבה מאות שקל כסף ביני וביניך מהו ואת מתך כבוד וישמע אברהם אל עפרון וישקול אברהם לעפרון את הכסף אשר דיבר באזני בני חת 400 שקל כסף עובר לכל הסוחר ויקם שדה עפרון אשר במכפלה אשר לפני ממרו השדה והמרה אשר בו וכל העץ אשר בשדה אשר בכל גבולו סביב לאברהם למקנה לעיני בני חת בכל באי שער עירו ואחרי כן קבר אברהם את שרה אשתו אל מערת שדה המכפלה על פני ממרא חברון בארץ כנען ויקם השדה והמהרה אשר בו לאברהם לאחוזת קבר מת בני חת. No, my Lord, saying, no, my Lord, Shemaini, listen to me, or hear me. The field I give to you, and the cave that is in it, the cave that is like on it, maybe, for you, Natatia, I give it Natatia le'enai b'nei ami. I give it. Natatia. I give Natatia. I give it to her. Le'ena, in the eyes of the children of my nation, so the eyes of my kinfolk. It also could be a reference to Ammonites, but I don't think in this context. Natatia, I give it to her for you. Oh no, I give to you, kover metecha, to bury your dead. And then Abraham bowed low. Just bowed. Lifnei amha aretz, before the people of the land. And he said to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, like so they could hear, the people of the land, saying, if only Afim, if only you did would hear me. Give I am giving this is imperative, I think. I let me give silver or let me give the silver of the field and take it for myself, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron responded to Abraham and said to him, my lord, do listen to me. Eretz Arba Meot. A piece. This land is 400 shekels of silver in Beni Beni Ubeinecha, between me and between you. Mahu, what is it? Ve'et metecha kover. You go bury go bury your dead. And Vaishma Abraham, and Abraham heard Ephron, and Abraham paid to Ephron the silver that he said in the in the presence or in the witness of the children of Chet. 400 shekels of silver were passed and sold over lasocher, like passed for the merchant. And he vayakam, and he rose, and the field of Ephron rose, that as that was in Machpelah, that was before the Mamre, before the strength. The Mamre Hasadev. Oh, it expects you to know about this. Then oak grove, so like the Mamre, so the oak grove, or what was it, terebinth grove of the field of Hamara, of the cave that is in it. Wait, and all the trees anywhere when that are in it, and all the trees that are in it, in the field that is, and all in its borders around it, all the, I don't know, confines, it says, to Abraham, for his acquiring, and for the eyes of the children of Chet, and all those who came in the town's gate. And after that, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife. Two were in the cave of the field of Machpelah, and upon in the presence of Mamre, which is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field the field rows are like spread from the cave that is on it to Abraham. Wait. It's saying it was like Viacom. It was acquired. It was acquired from, or like yeah, proven. What is this? Established.
Ariel Graham.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I have to go. I'm trying to say goodbye. Okay.
Perfect. We're about to finish anyway, but take care.
Okay.
Have a good one, Kara. Good to
Thank
see
you
you.
so much. Thank you. Bye.
So let's see. So in the cave, it passed from that was in it to Abraham for the burial plot Me'et Benechet from the children of from the Hittites. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, here, let's just you know what? Let's are you down to do one tomorrow or tonight?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Alright, cool. So yeah, we'll just start earlier and then but yeah, so we just finished one. I mean, I need to get sleep. But let's see, where is it? Here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. So here, I'm going to find something real quick to put on. Let's see. Death of Sarah. Let's see. Of course, there's going to be a lot of Last of Us stuff there. Let's see. Probably Bible. Let's see. It's gotta be something quick. What on earth? A Christian Minecraft animation? Oh my god. What is it? Let's see. Oh, what is this? I'll just check out a little bit of this.
In Hebron. And Abraham, book of Jubilees, the ancient book of Jubilees, verse 1. And in the first year, the first week, in the 42nd Jubilee, Abraham returned and dwelt opposite of Hebron, that is, Kirjath Arba, 2 weeks of years. And in the first years of the third week of this Jubilee, the days of the life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died in Hebron. And Abraham went to mourn over her and to bury her, and we tried him to see if his spirit were patient, and he were not ignorant in the words of his mouth. And he was found patient in this, and was not disturbed. For in patience of spirit he conversed with the children of Heth, to the intent that they should give him a place in which to bury his dead. The Lord gave him grace before all who saw him, and besought in gentleness the sons of Heth. And they gave him the land of the double cave over against Mamre, that is Hebron, for 400 pieces of silver. And they besought him, saying, We shall give it to thee for nothing. But he would not take it from their hands for nothing, for he gave the price of the place, the money in full, and he bowed down before them twice. And after this he buried his dead in the double cave. And all the days of the life of Sarah were 127 years. That is 2 jubilees and 4 weeks and 1 year. These are the days of the years of the life of Sarah. This is the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried, and he was found faithful, patient in spirit. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the law in the land, how that God had said that he would give it to him and to his seed after him. And he begged a place where to bury his dead. For he was found faithful and was recorded on the heavenly tables as the friend of God. All right, before I move forward, a couple of things. Number one, notice how it says, again, the book of Jubilees appears to be written from the perspective of an angel, or at least the angel is dictating the scripture. And it mentions that this issue with Sarah's death was the 10th trial that Abraham was put under to test his faith. And I was thinking, I'm wondering about, if this is true, if God does allow this kind of stuff, so many things in our lives. I wonder how many of these tests that I've failed, or I haven't been faithful, or I've murmured and complained, or I just find it interesting. It says that, Abraham passed all of these tests. He was found faithful, and it was recorded on the heavenly tables as the friend of God. Oh, that I would have that kind of faithfulness, that kind of patience. Imagine being able to be called a friend of God. And now, so we're dealing with the death of Sarah, and I thought I would read to you this crazy story out of the book of Jasher about Sarah's death. Now, remember, we just read in the last chapter, we just got done with one of the other tests of Abraham, which was that he was to take Isaac up on the mount to sacrifice Isaac, and we all know the story, right? Well, it follows that same direction in the book of Jasher, except there's this little thing that's happening in between the time that Abraham and Isaac leave and depart to go do this thing, and the time that they return. And according to the book of Jasher, this is when Sarah dies. I want to read you this crazy story about how this develops. Now, is this true? I don't know, but here's what the book of Jasher says. I'm going to be reading now the Hallelujah Scriptures, so you'll hear the name Yitzhak instead of Isaac. That's his actual Hebrew name. But I pulled this book off the shelf. It was the one that was easiest to locate. All right. Now, let me start here with verse 75. So remember, they're on the mount. They had just discovered that they don't have to do this, that God provided his own sacrifice. You know the story. Verse 75, and all that Abraham did on this occasion by the altar, he would lift his voice and say, This is the place of my son. And may it be considered this day before Yehovah in the place of my son. And Abraham finished the whole of the service by the altar, and the service was accepted before Yehovah, and was accounted as if it had been Yitzhak. And Yehovah Barak, which means blessed, Abraham and his seed on that day. Verse 76, and Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the form of an old man, very humble and meek. And Abraham was still occupied with the burnt offering before Yehovah. And he said to her, Do you not know all the work that Abraham has done with your only son this day? For he took Yitzhak and built an altar and killed him and offered him as a burnt offering on the altar. And Yitzhak cried and wept before his father, but he did not look to him, neither did he have compassion on him. And Satan repeated these words, and he went away from her. And Sarah heard all the words of Satan, and she thought him to be an old man from among the sons of men who had been with her son. And he had come and told her these matters. And Sarah lifted up her voice and wept and cried out bitterly because of her son. And she threw herself upon the ground, and she cast dust upon her head. And she said, Oh, my son, Yitzhak, my son, oh, that I had died this day instead of you. And she continued to weep and said, It grieves me for you, oh, my son, Yitzhak, oh, that I had died this day in your place. And she still continued to weep and said, It grieves me for you after I have reared you and have brought you up. Now my joy is turned into mourning. Now my joy is turned into mourning over
Have you ever heard of this tradition?
I that had longing for you and cried and prayed
No.
Elohim until I before you at 90 years old. And now you have served this day for the knife and for the fire to be made an offering. But I console myself with you, my son, in it being the word of Yehovah, for you performed the command of your Elohim. For who can transgress the word of Elohim? In whose hands is the being of every living creature?
Anyway, we'll finish with this later. But on that note, you know what? Given I don't know how much I wish I really could fully believe this, but you know what? Who knows? But yeah, basically, one of the ideas of Moshiach is that death will be gone, which I think is very unrealistic. But again, it's something you can hope for, even if it's very, very unrealistic. But on that note,
I was going to say the underlying message that I'm getting there is almost like God granted Sarah's wish by taking her instead of Isaac. Tag.
Oh, and it's also interesting because there's a tradition that Isaac had. Actually, never mind. Never mind. It would break with the paradigm. So I was basically going to say because Isaac had a feminine soul, but it was replaced by a masculine one. But it's almost like because I think there's also a tradition that like Sarah had both. So in a sense, you could say that the masculine that that Isaac got might have been from Sarah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, could be.
Anyway, on that note, Mashiach now.
Want to tell the Rebbe the words of the new song that we're singing with Mashiach, right? So I'm just going to read him. Am Yisrael, have no fear. Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now. We don't want to wait. Okay? Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, oh yeah, Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be this year. Am Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. We want Mashiach now, Mashiach now, we don't want to wait.